Hello again, rail fans. What follows here are some trains that I caught recently on a trip through Georgia. Coming back from Atlanta, I followed the old GS&F, the Norfolk Southern, from just a little south of Macon all the way to Valdosta. And I caught some pretty interesting stuff. But I thought I'd take this opportunity to show you once again how I use the radio scanner and how it helps you when you're rail fanning to save time, catch some trains, and to have a little better picture of what's going on.
I had come to the tracks, seen the headlight, and by the time I got pulled over and set up, he was here. The Heart of Georgia Railroad at Cordele. The local was apparently picking up empties along its line and making them up into a train for interchange with either Norfolk Southern or CSX. The wood racks caught my attention. In my normal rail fanning territory, we don't see log cars very often, if ever. There are lots of these orange Genesee and Wyoming engines in the South now, and they all have pretty much this same paint scheme, with some variances on that logo in the middle of the long hood. Since this is the heart of Georgia, this one says Hog. The train crept on west to the three-way crossing in Cordele proper. Here, the Heart of Georgia crosses the CSX Fitzgerald sub and the Norfolk Southern's GS&F. This line also hosts the Sam Short Line, a tourist train that originates here in Cordele and goes west to Plains, Georgia, President Jimmy Carter's hometown. It's called Sam as an homage to the original railroad it runs on, the Savannah, Americus, and Montgomery, later the Seaboard, then the CSX. Moving south from Cordele on US 41, you're driving through Georgia pecan country. And to your immediate left is the aforementioned Georgia, Southern, and Florida, Macon to Jacksonville main line, Norfolk Southern. My radio was on the NS Road channel for this territory, AAR 39. And soon it lit up with a northbound calling out the signals, somewhere.
Clear.
I decided to pull in at Araby Siding, where the gates were coming down. Train 65Q was having PTC issues and was slowing to a mandated stop because of something called a red fence, an indication in the locomotive cab that stops the train.
I'm still with you. If you could bring it to a safe stop, let's see if it'll give you the prompt to indicate you have permission to proceed. If it doesn't, we'll have you do a crew log out.
I got authorization to pass the signal. We've been having problems with PTC most of the trip.
Okay. Go ahead and press the receipt button.
All right. Permission to run out of here.
Thank you. Appreciate your patience. You all be safe.
After the PTC desk straightened things out, 65Q continued on northward. 65Q is an ethanol tank train, empties off the FEC in Jacksonville, headed for Chicago, Illinois. Drifting further on south on US 41, listening out for anything else that might be coming, I soon came up on a familiar sight on Georgia two-lane roads, a tractor. If it's planting season, fertilizing season, or harvesting season, you're going to see tractors on Georgia roads. This wasn't a farm tractor, but it still qualified.
GS&F dispatcher 321 over.
321 over.
7623. Proceed Sycamore Sparks will show in the clear at Conkle 338 p.m. over.
Proceed Sycamore Sparks in the clear 3:38 p.m. by Conkle HSL 7:15 p.m. Who would meet Minneola, Mike?
3:30. They've already left on us over.
All right.
This is a helpful part of listening out on the railroad's road channel. Dispatchers often give train orders to crews that authorizes them to move over specific segments of track. Now, if you know stations, sidings, mileposts, etc., if you know these locations on the track, that can help you better know where the train is going to be next and where he's headed eventually. And that can save you a lot of time and a lot of driving and a lot of waiting.
Using this technique, I knew 321 was coming to Sparks, Georgia, so I pulled in. I guess this is the junkyard part of town. Lots of junk. I was only a minute or so ahead of 321 coming out of that siding. NS 321 is a Macon to Jacksonville manifest train with traffic for the FEC. Most of this stuff will likely be going to South Florida tomorrow. Pulling out of the junkyard siding and headed south, US 41 goes across the branch line to Moultrie. I believe this was or is the Georgia and Florida Railroad. It's not a fast way to travel, but driving down US and state highways is a beautiful ride through Georgia in the springtime.
GS&F 330 over. 330 is pulling in now.
South of Adel, I began picking up an NS 330 coming out of Valdosta. The dispatcher setting up a meet between him and 321 at Mineola Siding.
Checkbox 2, proceed Mineola to the 153-153 letter G on the main track. Checkbox 6, do not depart until after the arrival of the CN 5780. Canadian National 5780 North and ORTH 330's train Mineola.
Not knowing this territory that well, I picked up the first open spot I could find north of Mineola. Moments later, a high railer came zooming past, headed south. He was apparently in a hurry to clear up, which was a good thing for me. The radio again, 321 passing 330 in the siding.
Mark there, 330. All right, thanks, still looking.
15 minutes passed, and here he came. A Canadian National unit, a UP, another CN, then 3 NS engines. .330 is a daily mixed freight off the FEC for Macon and then points north. Curious to me were these Bayline chip hoppers. 30 years ago, these would be headed south for Panama City's paper mill. But these are GACX owned now and moving northward, so I'm not sure where they're headed.
Well, that was exceptionally cool. Not only was that a great lash up with the CN and the UP and that NS Operation Lifesaver locomotive on 330 and all that great consist behind it. But the conductor threw down a zero injuries NS keychain to me, a little package there. So that was pretty cool too. Very nice day out here so far, out here on the GS&F, just north of Valdosta.
The following Saturday, I'd hoped to catch more NS trains on the south end of the GS&F at Crawford, Florida. But I only had a few hours, and NS only passes here in the mornings and late afternoons. But I was also scanning CSX on the radio, and I got lucky when Q441 called the signal at Callahan Turnout, 4 miles away.
41 got to clear Crawford, track 1, 7799 south. Got it cleared to home at track 1, 7799 south.
These are just some of the examples of how handy your radio can be for railfanning to help save time and driving. At Crawford, Florida, at NS Milepost 244.1G, this is Danny Harmon, out.